We really need to do something because this is our environment. This is for our kids tomorrow.
Kuwait generates roughly between 2.5 to 3 million tons of waste every single year.
There's so many clean the beach initiatives. Well, why is there trash on the beach at the beginning? You have to give up a little profitability to do the right thing.
Where does Kuwait stand compared to bigger markets in the region?
The Saudis now are putting in a lot more enforcement onto their environmental law.
How does waste management turn into an economic opportunity?
The price of available land is too high for anybody to come in and invest. In the last couple of years, get a lot more stringent with people that are using the land for other purposes as opposed to what they've got licensed for.
How hard it is to balance profitability with responsibility?
My career started off as a salesperson in a computer company.
Are we today building systems or are we still managing problems?
Reality?
Reality.
Welcome back.
Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in. This is Cristina, and this is a new episode of The Middle Ground, a space where we analyze the business landscape of Kuwait and of the wider region through the eyes of the people shaping it. I would like to start today's episode by thanking our partners at Studio 8 for having us. Thank you so much for your support. In the previous episodes, we spoke about mobility, how goods move, how systems adapt, and how industries react to external pressures. Today, we're continuing the discussion, just moving a bit deeper, because if resilience is an important topic, a more important topic is how we develop systems that are sustainable over the long term. Behind every functioning economy, there are systems that we don't see, but help immensely. They either manage waste, they support by preserving the environment, or simply ensure that other industries continue functioning properly. And we don't speak about them unless something wrong happens. Globally, we produce more than 2 billion tons of waste yearly, and the numbers only keep growing. Today, we're continuing the discussion over resilience, but this time not as a concept, but more as infrastructure. And joining me for that discussion is Tarek Al Mousa, Vice Chairman and CEO of Metal and Recycling Company, a very important player in Kuwait when it comes to industrial waste management and recycling. Tarek, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to start this discussion, first of all, by explaining the importance of it, because you're somebody who has experience both in industrial, but also in infrastructure systems. And you're also somebody who has been brought, if I could say, educated abroad. So you're coming with a wider lens when it comes to these topics. But before we talk about that, I would like to first start by asking you to explain to everybody watching us, what does Metal and Recycling Company do exactly?
Well, thank you first for the opportunity. Metal and Recycling Company has 4 pillars that we generate our revenues from. One is an industrial real estate activity whereby we lease and in a form or other incubate and assist smaller recyclers or waste managers to start up their businesses. So there's the real estate division. We have the hazardous and medical waste incineration business, whereby we treat the medical waste that's produced by the public and the private hospitals. And we also have a complete plastic recycling facility where we take post-consumer or industrial plastic wastes and produce them into raw materials, which are plastic pellets that go back into industry again. They also have a metal recycling facility, but we focus mostly on the steel business. As metals, there are many, copper, aluminium, and stuff like that. We mostly process the steel, whereby we take used vehicles or construction waste or the metal, and we process it to clean it up and provide raw materials for all of the metal producers, where they smelt and produce metal from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I think it's interesting because from the outside, it sounds, very operational. I would say almost technical. But when you think about it, what it really is, it's infrastructure. And I'm curious to know, for example, if your industry would stop working for, let's say, I don't know, 48 to 72 hours, what would happen here?
Well, if you take, for example, the medical waste business or the medical and hazardous waste business, there is redundancy to a certain extent in our operations. But if, for example, if something occurs there, then that could be quite disastrous. Medical waste in Kuwait is mandated by the Public Authority of Environment to be incinerated. So all our incinerators are actually two-chamber incinerators, whereby the first chamber burns off everything that you put in, and you can imagine medical waste has live bacteria and stuff like that that comes out from the hospitals,
Exactly.
as well as contaminated, patient waste.
Okay.
So that actually gets incinerated at the first level at about 900 degrees to 1,000 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
So we make sure everything is burnt. The effect or what that produces is it produces ash and it produces gases, dioxins. Those dioxins go into a secondary chamber that we incinerate at 1,300 degrees Celsius, therefore making it completely innate. So all the gases that are produced are completely innate. You get a little bit of carbon dioxide, you get vapor, and you get oxygen. So that's treated. Now, if you imagine, in Kuwait, I think it'll be very difficult for that to shut down completely because there are 5 medical waste incinerators in operation today. They can't all close down at the same time. I mean, that's a significant disaster. But if, for example, something like that did occur, there is a slight backup plan because we all have fridges where we receive the medical waste and keep it at controlled temperatures. So you can have that up to 24, up to 48 hours. But if those fridges start getting filled up, then you're going to have an issue of this contagious, possibly, and hazardous waste that needs to be dealt with very quickly. The redundancy in our system, one of our incinerators, we operate 4 out of the 5 in Kuwait, 3 directly for the Ministry of Health, and 1 for the public sector, private sector, where all the other medical industry bring their waste to. Let's take one, for example. One of our bigger ones already has 2 lines, so it has built-in redundancy. So each line can process half a ton an hour. If we need to shut down one line, we can continue operating the second line.
Yeah.
And we could then, store a little bit more until we get the second line operational again. Although the medical waste amount in Kuwait produced daily is probably 50% of the capacity of the incinerators available in the country. So from an operational point of view, there's a lot of built-in redundancy for these machines and capacity. The issue would be something else, disastrous, that shuts them down.
Okay. I'm asking you because I do want your perspective over one thing. I don't feel like we talk enough about this industry. And I wanted to ask you, do you feel that it goes into the category of things that we talk only about when something goes wrong?
Yes. In a way, yes. In a way, no. I think awareness in Kuwait is now growing, especially on the consumer, household, and industrial wastes. There's a lot more awareness of that these wastes needs to be treated. A lot more green incentives. The oil and gas are very, very advanced in this, of course, because they trade internationally and deal internationally. And a lot of the times the trading partners or purchasers of oil require certain standards because they operate in Europe or they operate in the States or whatever. So they require that, they mandate that the facilities need to be at a certain spec.
Okay.
And the process and the transportation and everything is kind of controlled. Saying so, this is also filtering down into the household and the industry, or industrial zones or industrial area or marketplace. There is a lot more awareness in the households. There are more activities in terms of attempting to recycle in Kuwait. There is a little gap in the awareness itself, but there's also a gap in the facilities available and the way that you collect these wastes. We don't segregate well. The biggest issue with household is not segregated. Now, I remember in the States, they would segregate. They would have a place for your plastics, a place for your bottles. In Kuwait, everything's thrown into one bag.
Exactly. I'm going to make a bracket here. Like I see it's happening in a lot of European countries where I come from. That's what I know best, where you can take all the plastic bottles that you get at the supermarket. You can take them back there, and they have these machines where you put the bottle inside, it scans the code, and it gives you back the amount of money you paid for that plastic bottle.
Right. Yeah, but okay, yes. The issue with that is it's not a real practical operation, because the quantity of bottles produced. We did a research on recycling of water bottles. Kuwait consumes anywhere between 600 and 700 million bottles a year.
That's
So
massive.
if all the population take 10 bottles a day, that's what, 5 million bottles. That's not going to touch it. That's not going to really make a dent. Those are, from my point of view, they're good. They're initiatives. They create awareness. They make people do things and actually take action.
Exactly.
But the bigger picture is that we should be really segregating better in the household. Having collection points. We don't have very detailed collection points. There are a couple of companies out there that are doing good things, but the quantities they're collecting is not really making a big dent. We, in our plastic facility, we process between 20 to 25 tons of plastic a day. Now, if you can imagine the size of that, plastic's very light. So there's a significant area or real estate plot that's needed to store all that and then process it. And a bottle of water today, the small one, is about 13 grams, and the big one, the 2-liter one, is about 33 grams. So how many bottles do you need to make a kilo? And then how many kilos do you need to make a ton?
But since you mentioned that, I'm curious, just following on what you just mentioned earlier, if we would have a more educated public, let's say, and we would have more initiatives on a personal level of, segregating these at home, and, education starts at home, do you feel that other industries are following this, right? Do you feel that there's enough recycling at an industry level?
At an industry level, I believe there is a little bit more recycling. There's always opportunities for growth. But from an industrial perspective, they must treat their wastes, and they must prove that they've treated their wastes. So all liquid wastes that come out of any manufacturing activity in Kuwait must go to the central water processing or the central liquid processing unit in Kuwait, and that is available near Wafra.
Can you tell me what this? Sorry, I'm interrupting you for a second.
All liquids, all liquids. Any processing plant that you'll have with it. For example, with our plastic, we wash the plastics to make it cleaner. So when we produce raw material, it doesn't have contaminants or has a minimal amount of contaminants. So we wash it. So we have an actual recycling system for our water where we can wash 3 or 4 or 5 times. The water gets recycled. But believe it or not, that water will end up being inactive or die. So we have to then take that water that is now contaminated and dirty,
yes,
and take it to this facility that they treat it.
Okay.
And
this you said at an industry level. So
that's an industrial level, yeah. Other industrial wastes that are categorized as hazardous, they have to go to the industrial landfill. And there is also an industrial landfill. Some of them are treated. Some of them, unfortunately, are buried. But at least the industrial is a organized and engineered landfill, whereby it's covered. So none of the liquids or any of the chemicals will actually seep through and into the ground.
Yes, exactly. Well, I wanted to go a bit deeper with the subject, because I know that, as I was mentioning earlier, you studied abroad, you studied also and worked across different industries. But you've always had this sort of focus, right? And I want us to go a bit deeper. And for us to be able to do that, I did a bit of research. As you all know, I'm going to put things into perspective a bit. So according to the World Bank, to their estimates and recent studies as well, Kuwait generates roughly between 2.5 to 3 million tons of waste every single year. On a per capita basis, they're saying that's among the highest globally. We're talking around 1.6 to 1.7 kg per person per day, which is more than double the global average. And yet we're talking about lower rates of recycling compared to more mature markets. So that clearly signals a gap. Now, when we look, for example, at specific areas of recycling, like we were just discussing, plastic, we know that globally less than 10% of the plastic waste gets recycled. And when we look in this region specifically, we know that the numbers are unfortunately even much lower than that. So I wanted to ask you, where do you think we actually stand today in terms of waste management, recycling, and environmental infrastructure?
We actually recently looked at the per capita production of waste in Kuwait. The peak reached about 2.4 kilos during Corona. I guess everybody was just sitting in the house and not doing anything and ordering or whatever, so producing more waste. Now, thankfully, it has gone down to around 1.5 kilo in Kuwait per house, but still, there's a significant amount of waste generated from every household in Kuwait.
Mm-hmm.
The issue here with Kuwait, we're very pampered, and the problem starts at the very beginning, whereby I take out my trash every single day at night, and by morning it's disappeared. Nobody actually sees the back of what's going on or what it takes for all this just to disappear. So we're a little bit pampered. Other countries in the world have put into place initiatives whereby, for example, in Korea makes sure that you minimize your trash by charging you significant amounts for the trash bag. I believe trash bags in Kuwait, which are thankfully mostly recycled and produced locally from recycled plastic.
Okay, this is great.
Yes. The plastic bag in Korea will cost you about $2 to $3 a bag.
Yes.
In Kuwait, you can buy 10 bags for less than 300, 400 fils.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's $1 for 10 bags versus $3 for a bag.
Mm-hmm.
So then you start thinking, if I'm taking out 2 bags of trash a day, by the end of the month, the numbers start to add up. So I start to look at how am I going to reduce my trash from the beginning, because I don't want to buy more bags, for example. Other nations, mostly Europe, there's a single day pickup trash. So Tuesday is trash day, for example.
Yes,
so then
exactly.
you can think, like, okay, I'm going to have to put 2 bags a day. So by Tuesday, I've got 14 bags. Where are these 14 bags going to live? If you think about the amount, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So people automatically say, okay, I'm going to reduce. These things I can reuse. These things I'll put in the recycle. So bottles or plastics, and I can keep those. They don't start to smell. Food will start to smell. So these initiatives are not in place in Kuwait, but there are quite a few companies, in terms of the infrastructure part of your question, there are quite a few countries that actually collect, or companies that actually collect in Kuwait. There are drop-off points. Industry is quite good with that because they're mandated to treat all their waste and prove that they've been treated. The households is somewhat different. There is a big area for growth there.
I've seen, talking about what you mentioned, I've seen that in Europe there's this practice, and I've seen it back home as well, where every household has multiple trash containers, let's call them, or waste containers, and then they are divided according to categories. So you have the household waste, let's say, but then you have the perishables, but then you have plastics, and then you have, if I'm not mistaken, glass also. So they're trying as much as possible to divide them, so then when they come collect them, they're already separated.
That's a big issue for us in Kuwait. It's not segregated. Not being segregated has a couple of different issues related to it. For example, if you take paper and cardboard. Now, paper and cardboard is recyclable. Plastics is 100% recyclable. Metals are 100% recyclable. Okay. But the paper and cardboard, once it's in the trash can and you've had your mechbous lunch, and that gets thrown into the trash bag as well, that paper has now significantly reduced in value because it's gotten contaminated.
Yes.
Okay, so that is one issue with the segregation. The second issue with the segregation is we put everything in one bag. So therefore, when companies like us receive, we can't receive a bag like that because that goes to the Kuwaiti landfill. But we do receive products that are contaminated. Plastic bottles are used for various things. After you finish the water, you put some detergent or something like that to store, or gasoline or whatever. That makes it more difficult for us to process and wash because there are heavier contaminants in it. By mixing everything all together, it makes segregation more difficult. You need bigger machines, you need more sophisticated machines to separate the metals and the plastics and the cardboard from each other. But these things are doable. What would assist in making these things doable is a significant operation at the landfill level. Many countries do that. They take the municipal waste and they throw them into these big segregation machines. Metals are very easy because they're heavy and quite a bit of it magnetic. Glass also is quite heavy. Plastics, you can use optical separators, as well as eddy current separators or shakers that shake everything off. And then the organics and the food, then you can actually do more than one thing. I mean, you can actually probably, if you have a good segregation system on the organics, you can create compost. That's the most famous or easiest done. But then you can actually take, for example, the bones or and stuff like that and make soil enhancers, or you can actually make protein.
Okay.
But not human consumption protein.
Tarek, you mentioned us being in an environment that is, rich in services, and this leads obviously to a lot of waste. But we're looking at the countries around us who are more developed, who maybe have obviously more visitors, more tourists. We're talking about more waste, right?
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, from a recycling facility perspective and an initiative perspective, let's call it, where does Kuwait stand compared to bigger markets in the region, let's say Saudi or UAE?
The Saudis now are putting in a lot more enforcement onto their environmental laws. So they're slowly now developing a lot more of the infrastructure that's required to process all these types of wastes. UAE, I believe, are maybe a little bit more in front of us because they also have very strict rules, and they process and recycle better than us. Saying so, we're not that bad in Kuwait, by the way. There is, if I walk you through the trash bag being put on the pavement and what happens to it before it gets to the landfill, it's actually being picked. So if you see in Kuwait, a lot of the times you'll have the plastic trash bag out, and next to it there's some cardboard or a washing machine or a little toaster or something like that.
Okay.
There are vehicles that travel around every night before the municipality come and will take that cardboard. And they will also take the toaster, because these things are directly recyclable. And there are collectors that collect these things and trade and sell and bring them to factories like ours for plastic, the other ones for cardboard, stuff like that. So it actually does get picked. And a lot of the recyclables, or many of the recyclables, are taken out, but they don't have a lot of time. When they take the trash bag and they put it in the back of the dumpster, they will actually open it up and collect what they can collect out of it very quickly. So if you see the dumpster truck at night, you'll see all the fruit baskets, those orange carton baskets, they're hanging on one side.
Okay.
And they've got a couple of other bags on the other side where they put cans, like Coke cans and stuff like that.
But since you mentioned this, I'm going to just make a brief bracket here. For people watching us, in case you have any tips for us, if we want to recycle any older appliances at home, is there a specific place where we can take them?
Take them, yeah. Now, there are a couple of companies that are operating collection points and collection initiatives. So you can take them there. I mean, if you have significant quantities, we could take them.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there are collection points. The municipality has tried to establish collection points, but I don't think they've been used properly, and they haven't been promoted properly. Supermarkets, cooperative supermarkets, have drop-off points mainly for plastic, and you can do that. The cooperatives also significantly recycle a lot of the cardboard that comes in with all the product. There's a lot of recycling done on that because they actually collect it. Whoever's doing the cleaning for the supermarket has a little side business of putting the carton together all right, and then selling it off to all the carton recyclers or carton traders. So that actually gets processed on a little bit larger scale. We need more drop-off points. We don't drop off cans. We don't drop off bottles. Plastics, there are some, I think, more availability for plastic opportunities.
Could these drop-off points be in the city, or do they have to be necessarily at the outskirts? Because I know for the facilities themselves for processing, I know that they need to be either in industrial areas or designated areas for these activities. But when we talk about collection points, could those be in the city?
They should be everywhere, because even when you're at work and you're in the city, you are producing waste. So you should be able to have an opportunity to put it into a recycling bin. Mainly they are in, like I say, the cooperatives, and mainly it's plastic that are available for drop-off points. There's one company in particular that has this system, and they have quite a few. I believe they have over 70 or 80 drop-off points. Am I allowed to discuss companies?
Please.
Well, you should check up on Omnia.
Okay.
Omnia have quite a mature recycling pickup scenario, and they collect these, and then we just recently signed an MOU with them to take all those plastics that they've collected.
Amazing. I actually know them because I used to live in Salmiya, not very far from one of their collection points. So I used to put my plastic aside and recycle.
Yeah. They're doing a good. They've done a couple of initiatives with schools as well, which was actually, I thought, quite a brilliant activity, because they get the little kids to think about it from the beginning. So if the little kids are bringing in these recyclables and collections and stuff like that, that's very positive. And then, of course, it's taking away what's going into the landfill, which is also very positive.
For sure, I think education in this specific sector is important, and it's important for people to understand that. But I want to look at it a bit from a corporate perspective, because we keep talking about environmental responsibility. Every corporation now talks about ESG initiatives, and there is so much resistance around it, and people questioning, is this really valuable? Does it really translate into actual, factual things from an operational perspective? And I wanted to ask you, do you feel that we're actually making progress, tangible progress, or you think we're still at a narrative level?
I think we're past the primary level. I think we're a little bit more advanced than just being very basic. ESG programs are mandated by the Capital Markets Authority for all publicly traded companies. And they must have an ESG program. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's recycling or environmental. It could be community service. So it's not always, their focus is not always on environmental initiatives or recycling initiatives. Saying so, there has been a lot more activity in terms of cleaning. But the beginning step, I believe it is really awareness, because if the awareness is there, then people will actually just, first step, not throw things in the wrong place. I mean, even if they don't have a bin, keep it in your pocket until you get home, then throw it away. Okay, but unfortunately, some people here don't do that. You'll see there's so many clean the beach initiatives. Well, why is there trash on the beach at the beginning? So that's where I believe awareness will play a key part to help clean up the environment to begin with. Now, having more drop-off points, having different types of drop-off points, I think will also assist significantly.
But I want to know, what do you think are currently the gaps? Why do you think we're not doing more of that?
Okay. The trash, the moment you put your plastic bag on your pavement, that is legally the municipality's property. So touching it, quote unquote, is not supposed to happen. So therefore, drop-off points will have to be licensed. Okay. So how do you license a drop-off point?
I don't know. You tell me.
No, I'm just a rhetorical question. But the supermarket, the cooperative, has its compound. It has the supermarket itself. It has all the little shops, so it can control that area. But if you're talking about in the middle of Salmiya, this is a public street. How come I can put something there? That needs to be licensed by municipality. Municipality have a little bit of a different point of view on these drop-off points. They want them to be controlled. They want them to be in a location that is maybe not prominent in the middle of the street, so people use them as general trash. That's another one of the issues. I mean, awareness could really assist it. A lot of these recycling bins, the plastic, the cardboard, the metal, you open and look inside, and it's a mix of everything. So it's not really segregated. Oh, it's just a trash can. I'll throw it in there anyway. I'm doing my job. I'm not throwing it on the street.
Yeah.
So more drop-off points, more awareness, I think would be significant assisting.
But who do you think should take the lead more in this sense? Do you feel that at the current moment, due to the current circumstances, it would be more of the responsibility of the public sector to drive these initiatives more, to incentivize? Or do you feel that the private sector needs to be a bit more active in their initiatives?
We all have to be more active. We really need to do something because this is our environment. This is for our kids tomorrow. In Kuwait, from a sustainability point of view, we have, I think, above average allergic conditions with a lot of people. We have a lot of asthma, and this is due to air pollution. So pollution needs to be controlled by everybody, private, public, and everybody at home. Everybody should put their foot forward and do something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tarek, we're talking about resilience a lot. We spoke about it in the previous episodes, and it's a very important topic, especially considering what's going on now regionally and globally. But specifically globally, we know that whenever there's anything happening that stops the activity of such systems, it can create serious repercussions, right? When we talk about waste management, as you said earlier, when we talk about health-related tools that get recycled, it can lead to serious environmental hazards. It can sometimes even lead to shutdown of industries.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you, where do you feel your company stands there?
Well, I'll just share a little story because that's
Please
I think
do.
showed my team's resilience and initiative to actually solve a problem. One day before all the activities heated up, we'd actually shipped out approximately 40 containers. So the shipping line had signed and received them. So now it's under their management and property. That ship reached Dubai before everything started, or the war started, and the containers had gotten held on the ship. Okay. The containers stayed there for about 3 weeks. The shipping line, of course, was being charged a ground fee, and our guys were quite switched on and quick to contact our customer and say, they were aware that this situation was occurring because the transport company had advised both us and them. And we made an agreement very quickly. They would relinquish the ownership.
Okay.
And we canceled the sales contract, and we actually sold them locally inside Dubai. We took a hit.
Okay.
Because we needed to get rid of them, and
Yes.
we didn't want to have a problem for everybody. It took a little bit of coordination, but I thought the initiative and the resilience was very, very good to turn this around, not stagnate it, and not leave the problem right there. Officially speaking or legally speaking, we could have not done anything. I had a customer, he's giving me his deposit, and the actual transport company, and there was now of ownership of these containers, so it's legally their responsibility, but that's not the way to do things. They're going to get charged, the customer's not going to get his product, he's not going to get his money back. We took a little hit, no problem. We retained the advance payment and promised for the next shipment, and they were understanding as well. So I think it was quite good in that example that the guys jumped in and tackled it. I thought that showed a lot of resilience from my team. On an operational side, or a bigger picture side, to assist us in situations like we went through recently, we really need to develop our industrial footprint. We don't have a very large industrial base in Kuwait. and that's an area that I believe we really need to make more investments in, because what we end up producing from all this waste is raw materials. So I
Okay.
end up having a lot of plastics in the form of plastic pellets that go straight into the production line again.
Yes.
And everybody's using recycled plastics to lower the cost of buying virgin plastic. So if I have to put a ton of plastic into, I don't know, making a chair, if I use 50% recycled, that 50% recycled is a lot cheaper.
Yes.
Thankfully, we have quality control in place whereby we can produce very good plastic at a significant level, close to pure virgin first time plastic. So we get a nice price for it and a premium, but it's still significantly cheaper than virgin plastic. So now, with all the ports being interrupted, we are finding that we export most of our product outside because
Yes.
the industrial base here is, what I said, a little bit limited. The ideal situation is we have more factories here, therefore I can actually sell a lot more locally, and therefore the economic wheel will grow and continue.
I was going to ask you that because I know that we're still in relatively early stages when we talk about economic diversification, especially in that area in Kuwait. And I sensed from what you said that a lot of this is related also to manufacturing levels. And I was going to ask you if we have enough manufacturing in the country so that recycling gets more incentivized and it all starts making a bit more sense.
Well, I think I'd take a step back, and I think industry needs to be incentivized in Kuwait. We have significant economic advantages to produce in Kuwait. We have a very low energy cost.
Okay.
We have a tax-free environment. We have a very low labor cost compared to other countries. And we have a lot of imports. That means when you export, the ships are going free, empty. So you have an advantage on export costs as well. So we have a very good advantage to become an industrial zone. Of course, without the interruptions that occurred recently,
Of course.
say so, we should be developing a lot more industry and base. This needs to be incentivized by government. We need to liberate more the real estate market. I think if they could liberate the market more and make it a more efficient industrial real estate market, that would assist significantly. I think they would need to, and they've actually started on this path in the last couple of years, to get a lot more stringent with people that are using the land for other purposes as opposed to what they've got licensed for. And we've seen a lot of activity in this area now. So that will actually lead to positive repercussions in the future. I believe that's a very good step right now, what we're actually going through as a country. Need to, financially, Kuwait does not need assistance. I mean, we have a very good financial situation. We can invest. Administratively, I think the bureaucracy, which, by the way, I think Kuwait's bureaucracy is a very good process. It's just not done or implemented properly or implemented efficiently, let's say.
You need to tell me more about that. What do you mean by it's good, but it's not implemented properly?
Well, if you look at any process today that you want to do, the checks and balances that the government takes, for example, if you want to get any particular license, I'll tell you, I know about industrial license.
Okay.
So the industrial license, if you want to submit a request for an industrial license, you need to put together a feasibility, preliminary engineering designs, and then a market research. Okay. So you submit these and they take a look at them. The first place this thing goes to is a division in the Public Authority of Industry to see where the location is and is it zoned correctly. So it's all accurate. The second thing, it goes to the Public Authority of Environment to make sure that this process is a clean process and what is the requirements they have to put on this condition.
Okay.
Then they look at the facility in terms of health and safety, all these. They have to do all these checks. These checks are correct, just except they take too long.
Yes.
They are making them take too long.
Yes.
All right. They should have a sufficient staff that is trained properly to turn this around quicker. So if you submit a request for a license and it stays for 2 to 3 or 4 months, sometimes longer, your feasibility, your market conditions have significantly changed.
Yes.
That's what I mean. By the way, this I believe is across the board in all government. The processes, the checks and balances are all proper and correct. They need to make all these checks and make sure that it's just the efficiency of implementation is the problem.
Basically, if we were to translate that, we could say that it's a bit slow. The system is a bit slow.
Yes, and as they always say, time is money.
Not only that, but I'm thinking that given the some of the aspects that you're dealing with, and again, we were talking about more hazardous things that need to be recycled materials. I think it also creates that sense of urgency. Sometimes you need to act very fast, right?
Yes, correct. Yes. In actuality, all forms of waste have facilities for them in Kuwait, right? Municipal waste or household waste, there is the landfills. There are areas and improvement in each one of these areas, by the way, I think. Maybe barring the health or medical waste. They're very stringent, and there's access capacity that's done very, very well. Industrial waste, I think we could do a lot more recycling and reusing of industrial waste.
What is industrial waste?
Well, any factory produces waste. Let's say, for example,
we're talking. That's what I wanted to know. We're talking
drink.
about the.
Let's say a drinks factory. They're making Coca-Cola or cola, and they're making juices. So these juices come in major big containers that has the pulp. That then they mix it with their own little flavoring, and then they.
There's an entire chemistry going on there.
Exactly,
okay.
And then they package it. So these pulp containers are waste. They don't want to have these with organic matter in them sitting around in a warehouse.
Yes.
Organic matter will ferment at the end of the day.
Exactly,
it will decompose. So that is for them is waste. They have plastic containers, they have metal containers, they have packaging. So that's an easy one. If you get into some of the chemical, then you're going to have chemicals that are left over or produced or processed. In our facility, the washing of the plastics, the water is ended up being waste. So we have to process that or take it to the correct facility to process it. So these are the wastes that we have.
I was curious. I was asking this because I know that you're also doing metal recycling.
That's correct.
And I was curious if part of that recycling also involves the technical equipment that they're using. Like if I have an old, I don't know, some old equipment in the factory, does that go into recycling as well?
Yes, but what happens most of the time with the recycling is if you have a piece of equipment that's still operational, you would probably try and sell that for use. You can get more value with it. Once you sell it as scrap, then you're just telling me what's the market for metal. Let's say $300 a ton today. Then I'm going to take a discount on that, so I'm going to buy it at $200 a day, for example, or on that particular day, because I'm buying pure metal that's not contaminated, but has other things with it. Any machine is going to have pieces of rubber, pieces of plastic, and the smelters don't want that. They want pure steel. By the way, we have a significant shredding machine.
Okay.
We have there's two smaller ones, but we have the largest shredding machine in Kuwait. You take a whole vehicle, and you put it in the mouth. It has a mouth that will take a vehicle.
Okay.
So this thing will actually crush up the car, shred it to pieces that are between 15 and 20 centimeters big of steel. And then we have separators. So the steel is magnetic. If you remember the chart that you had in school in science class.
I don't.
Okay, you need to look at Fe, which is ferrous, which is iron-based metal. So you take ferrous, that's magnetic. So that's very easy to process. It's heavy. You put a nice big magnet on it, sucks it all up, you can put it to one side. Then you get other metals. Today's cars have a lot of aluminium. They have copper wires. Some have specific metals, but very, very small quantity. So the metals go to another place. Mm-hmm. Everything else ends up in a third place, which is the waste. That's what we call vehicle fluff. That's chopped up car seats, carpet, glass, cushioning, that type of stuff. That could be used as fuel. If we compact it, mix it with maybe a bit of epoxy and maybe make sure it's dry, that could be used in fuel. And actually there is a facility now that's been set up now to do that.
I feel today we're learning a bit of chemistry, a bit of everything.
And we end up doing that. I'm not a chemist or an engineer, by the way. I had to learn it by getting involved.
How many years you've been in this industry, Tarek?
15 years now. I'm been at metal recycling company.
That's a very long time.
Yes.
So you mentioned a few things, and I want to link them all together right now, because I want to go back to what's happening now, right? Not only the importance of what you do, generally speaking. You mentioned that you're handling a lot of waste that is critical, medical waste, and so on. And I want to look at what happened now. I would like people to understand how a situation like the one that happened now, the regional conflict, is affecting your company.
Well, we are impacted directly by the ability to export our end product. That is, we're hit by that very, very hard. Saying so, we've managed to channel quite a bit by truck, which is assistant. But an interesting little stories or little side situation that's going on as well. A lot of the existing manufacturers in Kuwait also require imported products.
Yes.
And we are dealing with a few companies in Kuwait here that use plastics in their processing. So we've found that now they're also getting stuck. So now they're coming to us saying, okay, we will take your recycled plastic because they can't get the one that they want, and they're substituting it. So it's opened up a little door. Unfortunately, the door's smaller than the one that closed. But it is showing that the market is, of course, market will always react and find the best way to do whatever they need to do.
Does it pose any risks for us at the community level? If your operations stop, given what happened now, for example, from any side you're looking at your business,
right?
Can it pose any risks for us?
From a health point of view, I guess if the trash starts to pile up to a significant level that is not processed, it's not been taken away, that could be a bit of an issue. Yes, it could be a problem. But plastic recycling, metal recycling, cardboard recycling, there are factories that actually use those as raw material in Kuwait. We have a couple of big steel producers, so they will always continuously take more steel. That will not stop, even if we completely close. We could be independent. Actually, they would have to downsize because there's not enough scrap in Kuwait for them to work at the full level.
Okay.
Plus, you need a combination. Most of them use a combination of scrap metal as well as the ore to get a nice, clean steel product at the end. The plastics, that might be impacted more because there's not enough local processors that will take all the plastic that us as recyclers produce. We're not the only player. There are other players in the market that also produce plastics.
Would you say you are the bigger?
I think we are the biggest recycler in Kuwait.
Okay.
But we also because we have the treatment side, we also have the plastic and metal, and nobody's doing all those together. So from that perspective, yes, I think on the plastic itself, we're probably the most significant player as well. We also do trading in all the other recyclables as well.
I wanted actually to ask you this earlier because you mentioned it and I was stuck on it, but then we moved on with the discussion.
Okay.
Do you buy all of this material that you have to recycle?
Mostly, yes.
So you're not just getting it for free?
No, we're not, because we don't go to the customer and do the collection and stuff like that, okay? So whoever's doing the collection, he's got costs and he's doing it because he can make a bit of money as well.
Okay.
The feasibility is still there for us all to play. Saying so, it would significantly help if we segregated at the house level, though. It would significantly help everybody. Because even the guys that come to me, they come with a significant mix of different types of plastic and contaminations. Like when I say contamination, it's not necessarily in a negative way, but I mean, it's not pure plastic. You'll get pieces of cardboard, a piece of wood and stuff like that. So there has to be processing and cleaning and segregation. Exactly.
Tarek, are you ready to look into the future with me?
Yeah, okay. Looking into the future is easy because you can say what you want and it's not necessarily going to happen.
Well, hopefully, that would be easy, right? It would be
Yeah.
exactly what every one of
Yeah.
us wants. Well, no, I would like to move a bit from the discussion of what's happening now to the future a bit,
Okay.
and especially with you, because you're not somebody who's just operating a company. You're somebody who's indirectly building an industry, right? And
Yes.
and I think it's an important part, not only for the community, but also when we're looking at the greater vision of Kuwait, at Kuwait, New Kuwait 2035.
Mhm.
One of their mandates is to increase, to diversify the economy, increase the exposure to local manufacturing, and as you said, more industrial activities, let's
Yeah.
say. And we know that the activities that are related to waste management, environmental initiatives of all sorts, are becoming now a great business all over the world. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars yearly. Um, in looking at that, we see more talks about the circular economy.
Yes.
And I want to approach this subject with you, looking into the future of Kuwait specifically. What do you think can be and should be the future of Kuwait when we look at this part of the economy?
Well, the big issue that I see straight away, and I'm talking Kuwait specific,
Mm-hmm.
uh, there needs to be government incentivization and a legal framework ready for us to do this. Now, I'll jump into one specific issue that we are facing as a country: the tires. Now, the
Okay.
tires are, we've looked at tire recycling on more than one occasion, and it's very difficult to make it feasible. It can be feasible, but it's not that profitable. So when you come to a decision, you look at the return on investment. Say, no, I'll put my money in this project instead of doing the tires. So that's why people will walk away from it. But as a country, as a nation, we should look at that as, oh, hang on, we have a tire issue. We've had a couple of different big fires, and this smoke is very hazardous. It comes off from a tire fire. So we need to address this, and we need to make sure that we're doing it. So what we could do, and I think this would be the best thing. Now, I've kept this to myself for a while because I've always had it in the back of my head, maybe I could convince the right people to do it. But look, this is what we need to do.
Yes.
I think to make this tire problem a good opportunity, really, we need to. Kuwait's now invested in all the different areas of Kuwait. They have walkways.
Yes.
They have this little walkway around every neighborhood.
And we enjoy them in winter.
And we enjoy them in winter. They're tarmac, or sometimes parts of them are cement.
Okay.
Now, if there were crumbled tires, they would be much easier on your knees
Okay.
because you're not hitting against tarmac and or cement. The same thing goes for the schoolyards.
Okay. We're learning something new right now.
All right. But for you to crumble the tires, all right, you need to extract the metal steel in them. You need to extract the fibers in them. And then you get into some processing, basically cutting them all up, make them into a uniform size, and mixing them with a couple of different epoxies. And then I can use them as tiles or even as some kind of sprayed on system, whatever. But it's not commercially feasible to do those things today. And it's not encouraged properly. If the government mandates that all these walkways have to be rubber, or let's say knee friendly, okay, we would win in more than one way. The government would actually save some money on medical costs. Because if you get runners that end up having, they run in their youth and when they grow older, they're going to have knee problems.
Exactly.
We have free medical. So the government is going to pay for the knee surgeries, knee treatment, knee medication. So if in the longer run, we eliminate these issues, all right, have less children falling on tarmac or cement in school and scraping their knees and having going to the doctor, okay, they fall on rubber. That's a lot easier on your knees. It's a lot easier on your knee, on your whole body, wherever you fall. So that I think that's the essence of circular economy. Because I think I'm spending money in one place, but I'm actually going to save it somewhere else. And this really hits home in Kuwait because we have free medicine and we treat everybody. So I think that's one of the things we really should be looking at.
I was going to say,
Yes.
Let's do together an imagination exercise.
All right.
Let's imagine if we could objectify the government of Kuwait. I am the government of Kuwait.
Okay.
If I want to help you, and I want to help your industry. And we're having an honest conversation. And I say, Tarek, how can I support your industry better?
Okay.
What would be the first three things, let's say, you would ask me
First
to
three
do?
things that I would ask. My industry or industry in general, I would say, firstly, really streamline the implementation of the processes. We really need to get rid of this bureaucracy and the delayed in bureaucracy.
Yes.
The second thing is liberate the real estate market so real investors, will come in and they can actually set up a factory. A lot of people want to come in, but the real estate is such a big barrier.
Are we talking here, for me to understand better, are we talking here a lack of available land, or are we talking about pricing?
The price of available land is too high for anybody to come in and invest if they have to buy the land. And the land, because of the scarcity, the real estate rental cost is significant as well. So that's a big prohibitive or a big barrier for industry to go forward. Last, we need to keep, I'd like you, Mr. Government, to keep an open mind when we come up to you with suggestions that are not readily available or not fit in within a particular process. Keep an open mind and let's say, let's try it.
Yes.
As government, you're not going to, I'm willing to invest. I'm willing to make the investment. So let's give it a try. But if you take the tires, let's say if you're Mr. Government and I'm telling you about the tires, I need the public works to mandate contractors, when they're doing the streets, they put a walkway that's made of crumpled tires. All right? Or any sports stadium. They use them in sports stadiums today, the running track.
Yes.
But why don't we have everything like a running track? All the schoolyards, all the walkways, even pavements. They're good in the rain because they don't collect water. Water will go through them. Okay? And
I was going to ask you next, how does waste management turn into an economic opportunity?
It is already a working formula today, but not all wastes. The problem with waste, and when you get into specific types of waste, the cost of treatment or the cost of turning it into a raw material or a valuable product is significant. So to make that feasible, you have to reduce these costs. The cost of either by segregating makes it easier. I don't have to do segregation; it comes segregated. The cost of the real estate I've already discussed. But let's say one of the big things that we can really look at is the term of the contracts that are let today.
Okay.
And the scope of the contracts that are let today. Let's say, for example, the landfills. Today, the landfills are termed at 3 years.
Okay.
If I'm going to put in a significant sorting line to process your 1.7 kilos of trash per person per day,
Okay.
we're talking in the millions and millions of KD, not dollars. So for me to recoup that investment, I cannot do it in 3 years. So one thing you should look at is maybe the tendering process or the tendering period. The contract should be encouraging that I make the right investment.
Yes.
Now, you can also mandate that you need to segregate. Fine. Today, the mandate is not to segregate. The mandate is to take that trash, put it in a hole in the desert, and bury it.
So as long as the contract is longer, you would be willing to take on more responsibility, let's say.
Every businessman in the world will look at the opportunity and the return on investment.
Exactly.
Is it there? Is it not? If it's not, I'm not going to do it.
Let's continue on our imagination exercise.
Since we're imagining things,
Yes.
another thing about tendering. In Kuwait, the government actually specifies, I want to clean this building. I need 15 laborers. I need a machine, this machine, and this much detergent.
Okay.
Or whatever chemical you want to use. I think what we should be looking at from a government tendering process is we should be looking at, I want the outcome. So the tenders should say, I want my windows cleaned once a week, all the floors vacuumed twice a day, whatever it is. Put the specification that you require.
Exactly.
And let the private sector, who is a lot more innovative, a lot more cost conscious, and they will get the job done, without the 15 laborers. I mean, we have some companies that are geniuses that can do it with 5 and 3 machines. Why say 15 people and 5 machines? You know, it'll become cheaper for the government. Buy an outcome, don't specify what you want in number of people or equipment.
I'm going back to what I was saying. Let's continue the imagination exercise.
We're still imagining, huh?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I am the personified government of Kuwait, and I did help you. I offered you some incentives. I eased on some of the policy. I became more specific about what I wanted, and I made sure that the tendering process ensures longer contracts to support more the private sector.
Right, yeah.
It's been 5, maybe 10 years since I did this. How does the sector look now?
Probably 3 times the size of the industrial sector today. The number of investors that are willing to come into Kuwait, I believe, are significant. Kuwait, like I say, if you how long have you been living here now?
9 years.
How safe do you feel every day?
Very, very safe.
How comfortable are you when you walk around the streets? Do you have opportunities for entertainment?
And I have to say this, I'm going to make a bracket. We literally leave the car running and we go somewhere and do something and come back. I mean, don't get us wrong, parked, but it's a different story. But I mean, is that safe? I mean, you can leave your car open with the keys inside and go, and nothing is going to happen.
I'm now going to be partial because I am Kuwaiti.
Okay.
I believe we are very hospitable people. We are very friendly.
Yes.
We have a very safe nation. These are things that will make whoever's coming to live here more comfortable. We have a lot of educational opportunities, private or public. Okay, we have a lot of universities for the older ones. So these things are here. We have very good medical treatment. Okay, and it's free. All right. Well, maybe it's a minimal fee for expatriates, but it's nowhere near what it costs you in reality. So from living here, that's significant. The opportunities in Kuwait for not only in waste management, I think are significant for industry in general. I described earlier on the factors that make it more interesting or make it more attractive. Now, saying so, if we liberalize a little bit more and actually really bring in the private sector, honestly have a discussion with them, what do you need and how can we make it better for you? The economy will explode. Everything. I mean,
but what would you see? Let's say you're looking in Kuwait, it's been 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
What would you see new compared to what we have today? What do you think would be there?
Alhamdulillah, we have everything that we need. Alhamdulillah. But from an environmental...
Economic development perspective, economic diversification.
Yes, I believe...
I'm sorry, I'm going to make a bracket here. I'm talking about this why? Because I know there's more tendering processes happening now. We see more initiatives from the government. But also, I'm curious to know from your side of the spectrum, as somebody who's also bidding for some of these initiatives, if you feel that there's local appetite for these things.
Well, it doesn't have to be bidding. And there are enough ideas out there, and I think there's a gap where we can actually really significantly develop. What that would do is that we would start to attract a lot more brainy people.
Yes.
Okay? And there's huge areas and all this artificial intelligence data centers and the cloud centers, all this type of stuff. We don't have a lot of them here in Kuwait. There's a couple, I think, in the background that are now being operated on, but we can turn this around. That's a big area that we should be looking at. A lot more manufacturing of everything. If anything that has occurred in the last few weeks that's shown up, that hang on a second, we really need to be self-sufficient in terms of growing our own food and manufacturing our own products. These things need to be looked at. We import a lot of food.
Yes.
Our agricultural infrastructure is not very strong. I believe the government is now looking at these things, and they're looking at a longer-term warehousing facilities for food specific and food security specific. But how about agriculture? How about growing our own food?
Yes.
You know, that I think is an area that would flourish. I've seen some very lovely farms, some very nice produce. I don't know if there's a couple of farms that you can get all these different kinds of radishes, multicolored radishes, purple carrots. You know, yesterday a friend of mine sent me from Wafra a beautiful box of strawberries. They were lovely.
And I
Grown in
remember,
Kuwait.
last time when I saw you, you
Mhm.
mentioned, and I would want you to mention that in case I forgot part of it. You mentioned about a specific flower. You remember you told me if you go into the heart of the desert
Yes.
to a place where nobody goes.
Uh-huh. You'll see a lot of biodiversity of flora. I think we were discussing the arfaj flower
Yes.
because that is now also the symbol of solidarity with our armed forces, which are doing a
Resilience, yes.
fantastic job. The arfaj. There's another lovely flower that is El Nuer, which is a little flower that bursts up straight after the rains. Because it's out now. So it's another yellow flower.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to protect our desert. Unfortunately, we don't do that very well because we don't. That goes to the awareness. We still litter, and that has to stop.
Exactly.
That has to stop.
Tarek, you're somebody who also travels and you're somebody who stays ahead of the game by watching new trends. Is there anything that you saw on international markets in your industry that you would like to see in Kuwait? Anything that you found groundbreaking in one way or another? Or
Yeah, well, it's actually probably more on the robotics in industry and AI to do streamlining and better decision making. Those two areas, I think, are ripe for Kuwait. Those two. Of course, the machines for processing, they're always developing. They're always becoming more efficient, but not groundbreaking. Groundbreaking, I think, is the robotics and robotics in waste management. There are a couple of companies out there that are working with sorting lines that do the segregation with the assistance of robotics, therefore significantly increasing the efficiency of segregation.
so maybe in 10 years, looking down the line, we might see robotics in Kuwait
Yes, why not? I
in
hope
these
so.
industries.
They're robotics in warehousing.
But if we had to step aside a bit from the wishful thinking and we step back into reality,
Welcome back.
are we are we today building systems or are we still managing problems?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both, I think. I'm talking now not only in waste management, right? I'm talking about everything, right? So I think a little bit of both. We are managing what we have today, and in certain sectors, I think we should have more growth. Our financial institutions the stocks and stuff like that are doing well. Our industrial base needs to significantly grow. We have a couple of growth plans now that we're hopefully in the next couple of months we'll start to put into place. I guess twofold. Yes, there is significant growth opportunities, but they really need to have the right environment to make the investment. And I think there's a big appetite for investments in Kuwait. I think a lot of Kuwaitis are quite shrewd in terms of investment and financial management. At the same time, because of our market size and because of our not very diversified industrial base, we end up managing what we have and not making significant investments. I had a long discussion this morning with the plastic manager about trying now to produce more products from our recycled plastic because of the situation. So how do we use our plastic to take it into product level? And unfortunately, we came to the decision that you probably can't do it because the market is so small. And then I'm going to end up competing with Indian product or Chinese product that can process it because they produce 3 zillion of them anyway.
Okay.
And so we're never going to be competitive, even with the shipping costs. Okay, so it's a little bit of both, I suppose.
From a leadership perspective, as the executive head of MRC, I want to know if you had the ability, and I'm sure you have and you will, but I mean, if you're looking at the future of MRC, what would be some areas that you would like to tap into that you currently aren't involved in?
Well, like I just said, we have a couple of growth initiatives that we're looking at now and we are going to do. The plastic recycling facility will be expanded on, and we will be producing, or we will be entering into new plastic recycling facilities. So processing other types of plastic that we don't do today, and we are going to grow the capacity as well.
Yes.
An area that we've looked at and been a little bit successful, and that has really opened the door that we need to look at all the oil and gas wastes, and we need to start providing solutions for local oil and gas waste locally.
Yes.
And there are opportunities. The KPC has put out initiatives that they want to now actually diversify the local economy and assist. I think there are going to be more opportunities there. That's specific to waste management. That's specific to my industry.
Exactly. Would you consider stepping out of this industry into something else?
Not for some time. I still have to build a complete industrial environmental zone. I want to recycle everything. Then once we start recycling everything, then I can maybe think about it.
I like how you said, I want to, because the next part of the conversation obviously is going to go back to you.
Okay.
Because we want to know also the leader and the person who's driving change, not only information about the company.
Okay.
And I know you're somebody who works in an industry that is not easy at all compared to others, right? It's not fun. It's not retail. It's not fashion. It's not fast-moving consumer goods. It's not that posh, let's say.
No, it isn't.
And
we deal with trash every day.
And it's much difficult, right?
Yes.
And I want to know, going back to your leadership and your 15 years of experience in MRC, what was one of the hardest decisions that you feel you had to make?
We've had some interesting blocks. I mean, we had this initiative. We've now nearly finalized it, but we've got the acceptance in principle, is to convert our land into a complete industrial zone and add more activities and more licenses. That was a significant challenge because we had this large plot of land that we could only use for plastic and steel, and we wanted to do more. So that, I think, has been a big one. The toughest decision I've had to take, we work in a dynamic environment, so there's decisions that occur all day.
I mean, a moment that you felt was very risky for you, something. We're thinking now also about the younger generations who are looking at us and are looking at business leaders such as you, and they're hoping maybe one day to themselves be able to lead such change in Kuwait. And that's why I'm asking.
Well, I use. See, I don't have a problem. On the contrary, I encourage investing in local talent and pushing them to go further. And I always say to any up-and-coming person in our organization, if you're not interested in my seat, then you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Because they need to be thinking about, I'm going to take your place.
Yes.
Because if they can think and take my place, then they're definitely in the right place.
Yes.
Because then we're growing a good environment for the work. B, they're gonna work and they're gonna learn and they're gonna produce.
Yes.
Going back, I still can't think of difficult decisions because we had to.
No, but if you had, for example, to offer a small piece of advice to maybe younger generations who are looking at the sector, who would be interested in doing such activities, would there be a piece of advice that you would have for them specifically in this harsher industry?
Yeah, just do it.
Just
do it, really. Start. Once you start, you're going to learn. You're going to be getting beaten up. You're going to get hit. You might not see the money in the beginning, but if you keep at it, be consistent, be persistent, it will happen. Because this is why the private sector flourishes in the end. Okay? The people that remain are the resilient ones that actually keep on pushing and don't give up. And it works. We're very innovative. That's why the private sector is very innovative. We'll make it work. We have to make it work because it's our money.
Exactly.
So anybody that wants to get into this industry, go for it. We need more recyclers in Kuwait. We need more people that are involved in the environment. There are so many areas in the environment that needs to be addressed.
Are you going to open internship programs? Should we ask
Internship.
them now? Go
Yes,
contact.
yes. No. This is somewhere. This is somewhere that we've been looking at with HR. We've had a couple of interns. We actually had a couple last year. They were thinking about coming in, but they found, I guess, better places. So must have been. So yeah, we're always open to internships.
Okay, wonderful. Tarek, tell me something. How hard it is to balance profitability with responsibility?
That's every day, I guess. It's always like that. It's always, those are the tough everyday decisions. But you have to. You always end up giving up a little bit of profitability. You have to give up a little profitability to do the right thing. It has to be done. Okay. Yes, I am responsible for my shareholders. I have to make sure I'm responsible to the board, and the board is to the shareholders. And we have to do everything correctly and hopefully all profitably. But it doesn't always work that way. You have to take decisions on a day-to-day basis that, for example, those containers. I would never sell at that rate. But hang on a second. It's better to sell them than have that money stuck on the ground for I don't know how long.
Exactly.
So you take that decision. We didn't lose money on it. We left a little bit of money on the table. Okay, yes. But we took the decision and had to go on.
Yes. Tarek, I know that you're somebody who has been very active, even during your student years. We're talking student leadership, a bit of media activities. And I want to know, did you ever think of working in this industry, or were you imagining something else for yourself?
I actually have a degree in mass media
Okay.
and sociology. I have a double major, mass media and sociology. Would I ever think that I'd be running a waste management company? Nothing to do with what I studied.
Okay.
But this is another thing for the young guys and girls.
Okay. Pay attention.
I think getting a university degree or getting a MBA or education in general has got nothing to do with your future career.
Mm-hmm.
The process of getting the education is training for your brain to solve problems.
Exactly.
And once you're out there, the job that you get, if it's not a profession, if you're not a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer that's specific, everybody else, we're all generalists.
Yes.
So you need to know how to solve problems, manage projects, and that's what makes successful. My career started off as a salesperson in a computer company.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into logistics and had the opportunity to run this company, so I jumped at it.
One last question.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you a lot more things, but I think we can stop here. I would like to ask you one last question. What has this journey taught you when you look back?
Don't stop. You can't stop when the doors close. You have to keep pushing. Other doors will open. You just have to be persistent. And sometimes this is actually a key thing. You just have to keep on going. You have to keep on going. I mean, during Corona, it was quite tough for us. We had to close down all our operations except for the medical health. Okay. Now we didn't close operations in the last 4 or 5 weeks. We actually took the time to review and look at our internal processes and see where we can go and look for other options for our product. We didn't shut down. You have to just keep on going. That's the only thing. You must continue.
So we're always going to continue.
Of course.
Tarek, thank you so much for being with us today. It has been a real pleasure talking to you. And as I always say, I'm sure that everybody watching today has a bit more understanding about what your company does, but also about opportunities in Kuwait in the sector.
Right. So I would leave one last message is
Yes, please.
think about reusing, think about recycling, okay? Because you're doing something good.
Thank you so much.
It helps all of us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
As we see, resilience is not something that we show during times of crisis. It's also something that we build strategically, constantly, step by step. If you like this episode, thank you so much for watching until the end. Stay close to us for more episodes, and we'll see you very soon with the next one.